Today on Raceweek Illustrated Garage Talk, we take a look at NASCAR's return to the Rock. We sit down for an interview with super late model veteran Jimmy Garmon, and we take a look at racing results from around the area. All that plus Doug Turnbull.
Hey, Mom and Dad.
This is Raceweek Illustrated Garage Talk. Hi folks, I'm Brandon Reed alongside my friend Doug Turnbull. Welcome to Raceweek Illustrated Garage Talk. We've got a lot of information for you this week, so let's get straight to our headlines. NASCAR returned to Rockingham Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina, with Kasey Kahne winning the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series event. More on that in a few minutes. Greg Biffle powered around Jimmy Johnson in the closing laps of Saturday night's Sprint Cup Series event at Texas Motor Speedway to score the win. Robert Hight scores his fourth funny car win of the 2012 season with a victory in the 4-wide Nationals at Charlotte. And Georgia's TJ Reed conquers the High Banks in Anderson, Indiana in the CRA season opener. More on that a little later as well. You can read more about these and more headlines at RaceweekIllustrated.com. Our lead story this week is NASCAR's return to the Rock as the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series did battle in the sand hills of North Carolina. Nelson Piquet Jr. would start from the pole, taking the green flag in front of a big crowd of fans, happy to see racing back at the Rock. The former F1 driver would pull out to nearly a half-lap lead at one point and seemed to be on his way to his first Truck Series victory. A slow pit stop on lap 124 brought Matt Crafton into contention. Crafton would move away with the lead during the middle stages of the event. Meanwhile, Sprint Cup Series regular Kasey Kahne was on the charge, coming from 36th starting spot. With just over 50 laps to go, Kahne swept into the lead and would go on to score the victory. James Buescher finished second, followed by Crafton in third, Johnny Sauter in fourth, and Timothy Peters in fifth. Joining us now on the Money Max hotline is Raceweek Illustrated's Joe VanHoose. Joe, you were at the Rock. What did things look like to you?
Well, thanks, Brandon, and I will tell you this. I don't think anyone in the NASCAR community has felt this good about anything in quite some time. Ask any of the drivers, the officials, the crewmen, even the fans. Everyone thought that Sunday was really, really special. And the crowd was one of the most enthusiastic that I've ever seen.
How about the racing? You know, we saw it on television, and some of the drivers were complaining about the tire wear, the slipping and sliding. Overall, from your viewpoint, how was the racing?
Well, you know, it depends on what you were looking at. Some of the drivers don't care for the tire wear, you know, the poor tire wear, and of course, Rockingham being built right there in the sand hills of North Carolina with a sand foundation, that track is always eating tires, and Sunday was no different. Most people seem to think that that creates better racing, and it was a lot of fun to watch guys sliding around, searching for, you know, some speed, whether they're running right up there along the wall or right there at the bottom of the track. I got to take a couple laps with Mike Skinner on Saturday, and he was explaining, you know, just what lengths drivers will go to find, you know, just a little bit of speed, because there's really no grip out there. Some drivers will reduce to trying to hook the apron just to, you know, get the truck to turn. So watching the guys, you know, get up on the wheel and battle and saw and just try to do what they could with the very little grip they have, I think it produced some racing that caused a lot of us to kind of look at each other and wonder why NASCAR quit coming here in the first place.
Joe, how was it seeing Kasey Kahne come up through the field? He obviously had some unfinished business with the Rock. How was it seeing him come up through the field to score that win?
Well, you can tell that Kane really wanted it, and he said as much after the race. He said he got home from Texas at about 3:30 and got to sleep. Woke up 90 minutes before his alarm clock went off. He was so amped to get out here to Rockingham, and he talked about how, of course, he finished second to Matt Kenseth in the second start in the Cup Series his rookie year. And he thinks about that race a lot, and he's replayed it 1,000 times what he could have done differently. And in all of his scenarios, he ends up losing. Well, let's call it cleaning up some unfinished business on Sunday, and watching him start from the tail of the field, 36, and just really methodically drive up through there. And that's something he said, because the tires wore out so fast, he was watching a lot of guys use their stuff up, and then, like most veterans can do, he just waited and waited and waited. And then when the timing was right, he made his charge, and obviously it worked out pretty well for him.
Joe, thanks for joining us here on the Money Max Hotline, and thanks for all of your hard work out at Rockingham this weekend. We appreciate everything you did.
All right, thanks, Brandon. It was my pleasure.
In other racing news this weekend, the ARCA CRA Super Series opened their season at Anderson Speedway in Indiana on Sunday. Two Georgia frontrunners, TJ Reed and Bubba Pollard, made the trip, hoping for the best in their first trip to the famed Speedway. That's just what they got, as Reed led 90 of the 120 laps in the feature and as Bill Elliott Racing number 41 to score the win. Reed said after the race that he likes the track and he definitely will be back. Senoia, Georgia's Bubba Pollard finished second, followed by Scott Hansen third, Eddie Van Meter in fourth, and Kenny Tweedy in fifth. Closer to home, fans at Senoia Raceway in Senoia, Georgia got a wild show in the B Cadet feature. The action occurred on lap 17. And you see it here, Noonan's John Stinchcomb took this wild ride after contact with Stockbridge racer Jeff Carter. Stinchcomb went end over end down the front stretch, coming to a rest right side up. The crash brought out a red flag, and both drivers walked away okay, with nothing but bruised egos from the crash. When racing got it going again, it was Corey Payton scoring the B Cadet win. He was followed to the checkers by Thomas Mewborn, Dow Kirkland, Buck Williams, and Bill Pitt. Other winners of the night included Craig Scott in late models, Clifton Marin in hobby stock, Stephen Hill in mini stock, and Lee Owenby in bombers. We head back to North Georgia next, where the United Sprint Car Series did battle on the legendary Dirt Oval in Toccoa, Georgia. Mid-South Thunder Regional Series champion Tim Crawley from Benton, Arkansas, captured his first USCS win of the year. He beat out Eric Riggins with Terry Gray, Morgan Turpin, and Justin Carver rounding out the top five. In 600 sprint action, Bobby Zionins passed Chris Openshaw, coming to the white flag, and would hold on for the win. Snellville, Georgia's Matt McCullough finished third, followed by Rick Goss in fourth, and Dwight Pilgrim in fifth. Other winners on the night at Toccoa included Kenny Collins, Ty Lowe, Daniel Fowler, Rusty Jordan, Jackie Holden, and Jamie Massey.
With $500 on the line to win in the mini stock feature at Anderson Motor Speedway in South Carolina this past weekend, you knew it was bound to be a wild night. After an early fight between Tommy Davis and Wayne Cowart, the two continued to do battle over the closing laps. As the field came to the white flag, it was Davis making the move to take the lead and the win, pocketing the $500 bonus in the process. Cowart held on for second, with Chris Harville third, Kenneth Bearden fourth, and Mike Staten fifth. Other winners on the night included Mark Burdett in the BM Modifieds, Chad Campbell in B Mini Stocks, Dylan Hall in C Mini Stocks, Ricky Burnett in Renegades, Barry Tollison Sr. in Super Renegades, Rex Brown in Legends, and Joseph Pilato in Southern Pro Challenge. The question for late model competitors at Greenville Pickens Speedway is, can anybody beat Toby Porter? Well, so far, the answer is no. Porter again beat the field to score his fourth straight win Friday night. The win came after a four-car crash put the field under red for half an hour and left Tasha Porter-Cummer with her car on her side. Porter would power past pole sitter Marty Ward and held off Ward to score the win. Ralph Carnes finished third, with Anthony Andrews fourth and Kate Montieth fifth. Other winners on the night included Mike Mode in Chargers, Chris Chastain in Trucks, Jeremy Drummond in Renegades, and David Rader in both street stocks and four cylinders. It was a big opening night at Dixie Speedway in Woodstock, Georgia, with a capacity crowd and over 130 race cars on the grounds. It was a battle of the Knowles family in the super late model feature, with pole winner Jake Knowles leading early. Knowles would fade late, handing the lead and the win over to his cousin Tony Knowles. Tyler Millwood finished second, with Luther Jenkins, Michael Page, and Clint Smith rounding out the top 5. Other winners on the night included Cass Fowler in limited late models, Donald McIntosh in crate late models, Daniel Brewer in super bombers, David Beam in economy bombers, Jeremy Baines in pony stocks, and the duo of Joe Trantham and Clay Creamer in cruiser. For more on these and other racing stories, visit RaceweekIllustrated.com. Man, just an incredible weekend of racing, Doug. Could not have gotten any better, I don't think.
Hey, exciting to see the Dixie Speedway, one of the busiest racing tracks here in North Georgia, is underway this season. And gosh, 130 race cars on the grounds there and so many other classes active at these other tracks. It's going to be a fertile summer for racing.
Absolutely, and especially when you consider everything Dixie went through last year. You know, they were hit by the tornado, had all the damage, was just great to see them come back. We've got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll sit down with super late model veteran Jimmy Garmon for a talk. You're watching Raceweek Illustrated Garage Talk. We'll be right back.